Hello and welcome to another MCO market update on Solana. The price continues to be under pressure. There is currently no indication that a substantial low has formed, even though in this region a low could form at any point, but it looks like we might go a little bit lower in the short term, possibly to target the $102 level down there, maybe even a bit lower. We talked about that in the last video already. The price has so far avoided to form a lower low compared to the March low, so pretty much a double bottom there at the moment. I'm watching the trend line here on the daily chart as additional, let's say, dynamic resistance parameter, but as long as we stay below it also here, the pressure is down. But that's not even the most important parameter. I'm using Fibonacci levels to guide us, basically. Again, when we get a bounce from here, then it could take us into that red resistance area first. And if 5 waves to the upside form somehow, it might be wave 1 in yellow. But yeah, for now, it seems like we go a bit lower, which is actually good for the yellow scenario because from here, it would be difficult for the price to form an impulse for various reasons, especially because the rally from the March low so far was only in 3 waves. But we discussed that in much detail in previous updates. Important, though, is to understand that we are likely in the late stages of the overall cycle. That's one important point. Another important point is that we are now reaching key structural support around $110. That's a very obvious one, the red line. So what can happen is maybe that the price will be pushed below that level briefly to get some stops triggered before we then see a recovery. That seems quite likely at this point. So there's a reason why I haven't called for a low yet, because we haven't seen any convincing evidence that we're starting to move up. While there was a potential from the March low, it remained a 3-wave move up. And that's why I always say we need 5 waves to the upside to get a first solid confirmation a low is in, yeah? The other important point is because of that, there is absolutely no, there is absolutely no high probability setup right there at the moment, okay? So it's about tracking the waves at the moment. We need patience. No high probability setup right now. So I just like half an hour ago posted an update for our gold members that we're now approaching resistance, and obviously it should still follow the yellow scenario that I presented yesterday. And we've already seen a rejection from that $120.80 level that I communicated yesterday as first level of resistance. So we'll take a look at that now. As you can see, the 4th wave could still easily extend a little bit lower. We have seen the end of a triangle pattern here on the 2nd of April. That was on Wednesday at around $136 roughly. That was the E wave of a triangle pattern. I explained that yesterday in a wave 4. We could now be in a wave 5 to the downside of wave C of that larger wave 4 correction, or as shown on the larger time frame, it could also be an A wave, of course, which would result in a B wave bounce before we go down lower in wave C. But again, all of that is secondary. For now, the main question is, have we seen a low yet? And I don't see any evidence for that, right? So let's zoom in a little bit. As you can clearly see, the price started to rally, but it is, again, a very crystal clear 3-wave move. Now, I would actually prefer a slightly larger B wave. That will surely depend a little bit on Bitcoin as well, but this here was very weak, so it could be an A wave, could be a B wave pullback now with a C wave to come, but that is just a micro pattern. So far, whether we get a larger B wave or not, this is a 3-wave move up, which would make it very difficult for the bulls to take control from here. Short term, surely, a larger 3-wave move might unfold, but it cannot turn into an impulse anymore. Might turn into a diagonal, but all of that is speculative. So trend remains down. We have a 5-wave move down. So that's how we read the signals. It looks like a 5-wave move down in the A wave we talked about yesterday that bottomed there around $112 at this support level, yeah? Remember, we talked about this support level at $112. Price found some support there. We now see a bounce. It's a weak bounce. Ideally, for a B wave bounce, it should be a little larger. It doesn't have to be, but it hasn't even reached the 138. It hasn't even reached a 38.2 retracement, which in itself would be a weak B wave. So I would prefer actually 123.53 or 126.30 to be reached. That doesn't make it a great setup. I'm just saying it seems probable we get there before we go down further in wave C. Once we have a top in wave B, we can calculate a target to the downside for wave C, which would typically be the 100% extension. If I see a top for that B wave today, I will communicate that later today on Discord where that C wave should land. As I said, it's typically the 100% extension, but for now, I think it seems likely at least that the price will attempt a push higher in the B wave. But yeah, as I said, it's not needed. It's already a completed 3-wave move. Yeah, it would be very weak if it's already topped. So these are the things I'm watching for today. Next support at 110, but that should be broken. And then $102. That's the update about Solana. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.